from Cut Above Perfection Sharpening. Today we're going to be talking about Waterstones. Whether you're a knife sharpener, a straight razor sharpener, or in my case a shear sharpener, I'm going to give you an overview of the stones I've used over the years and how they may benefit you depending on what you'll be sharpening with. So what we have here is a 500 grit Shapton glass series, and with my stones I wanted to give you guys an overview of my thoughts on how I use this stone. As you see, I have HR and I gave it a hardness rating, and this would be between a 7 and an 8 out of a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest. This is also labeled as a splash and go stone, so I've labeled it as a true splash and go stone. So really all you need to do is put water on here and sharpen whatever it is you're sharpening. As far as a 500 grit stone, this is very accurate. It does put down a patina that's very matte, and it's also a fast cutter. Here we have a Shapton Professional Waterstone. This is the 1000 grit ceramic stone. This I gave a hardness rating of between 8 and 9, and again, the harder the stone, the less porous it is, and you give it is also a splash and go stone because of its hardness is up there. I love this stone. It is a true 1000 grit equivalence. It will give you a good matte finish and is a fairly quick cutter. Here we have a Shapton Pro ceramic stone. Along with the 1000 grit we just showed, this is a 1500 grit. I also give this a hardness rating between 8 and 9, and it is also a splash and go stone. I'm very fond of the Shapton Pro series based on their hardness, their wearability. They don't dish out as quick because they are a harder stone. Also, they're a decent size, between 8 1/4 inches long and 2 3/4 inches wide, which is great for all-purpose sharpening, whether you're doing knives, straight razors, or shear sharpening. Here we have the Shapton Pro Ceramic 2000 grit. Again, the hardness rating, I gave it between 8 and 9, and of course, as a Shapton Pro always is, it's a splash and go stone. This happens to be my personal favorite stone I use for shear sharpening. It is a great intermediate stone. If you're a knife sharpener or a straight razor sharpener, the 2000 grit is a great intermediate stone in between your final polish. Here we have a Kitayama Waterstone. This is a 1000-4000 combo stone. The top side, where it's yellowish orange, is the 4000 grit side, and the back side or the bottom is white. That would be the 1000. This stone, I gave it a hardness rating of 6. Because it's a softer stone, it does require a lot of soaking time before usage. If you use your stones dry or don't allow for proper soak time, depending on how you sharpen, if you let your stone get too dry, you can cut into the stone, causing it to mess up whatever you're sharpening and also the stone. This is a great stone to use if you're a knife guy or a straight razor sharpener or shear sharpener. The 4000 grit side is my favorite side to use because it does put a very high polish patina between a rating of 4000 and 8000 grit. It's a very nice stone. The only downside is it is very soft, so therefore it would require to be flattened quite often in between sharpening. Here we have the King 4000 grit Waterstone. I gave it a hardness rating of 7, and this is a true soaking stone. When I first started sharpening, this is the stone I used, and it puts down a beautiful patina between 4000 and 6000 grit, and it's a very, very all-purpose utilitarian stone to use. The only downside is it is on the small side compared to other stones. However, if King made this stone wider and longer, it would be a very, very hard stone to beat for the price point. This stone is less than 50 bucks. Here we have the Nubatama Bamboo Series Waterstone. This is a 4000 grit Waterstone. Also, I gave it a hardness rating equivalent to a 7, and this is a true soaking stone. What I like about this stone is it does have some good size to it compared to the 4000 grit King stone. It has quite a bit of size to it, so you have great surface area no matter what you're sharpening. Depending on a shear or a straight razor or a knife, you have plenty of stone to sharpen with. Here we have a Shapton Glass 4000 grit series. I gave this a hardness rating between 7 and 8, This is a splash and go stone. One thing I want to note about the Shapton glass series is they are a little bit softer than the ceramic Pro stones, and also if we turn it on its side, you have less than a 1/4 inch attached to glass of actual stone you can use, versus the ceramic series Pro stone, we can use both sides to sharpen if we wanted to, whereas the glass stone you get very little meat to sharpen from, and you can only sharpen and flatten one side. So this is the only downside of the glass stones. However, they do work out very well. But as far as all in all, the Pro stones are a better choice when you're talking about longevity and price point. Here we have the Shapton Pro 5000 grit series. I gave this a hardness rating of between 8 and 9, and this is again a true splash and go stone. This was one of the very first stones I used in the Shapton line and fell in love with. This is a true 5000 grit rating. It is a very high polished patina, and it's a very hard stone. With a stone like this, it is a semi-slow cutting stone because it is a higher grit rating. If you want it to cut quicker, I would recommend using a 140 grit diamond lapping plate to rough it up a little bit, so it'll be a faster cutter. If you want to bring up a high patina on whatever it is you're sharpening, I would use a between 400 and 600 grit diamond lapping plate to give it a finer edge. However, it will be a slower cutter when you do that. Here we have a Shapton glass series 6000 grit. I gave this a hardness rating between 7 and 8, and again, this is a true splash and go stone. This is a very well done stone. It does give a true 6000 grit patina, and it is a fairly fast cutter for a 6000 grit. So I do really like this stone, and Shapton did a good job on the 6000 grit splash and go stone. Here we have a Tokonoko 6000 grit Japanese waterstone. I give this a hardness rating between 6 and 7, and this is a true soaking stone. As you can see, this stone is broke. I believe I dropped it many years ago. The downside to your softer stones is they're very delicate, and they are prone to breakage if you drop them accidentally, or also they're very weather temperamental. So if you're dealing in colder climates, they can be delicate and crack based on what climate you're in. So the colder the climate, the more delicate your waterstones can be, especially if they're a soft waterstone like this. This is also a great polishing stone. It puts a polishing equivalence to between 6 and 8,000, and it's a very large stone, so it gives you great surface area to work from when you're polishing and sharpening. When I'm working with waterstones, especially like brand new stones, is I like to use velcro on the back of my waterstones. So as I'm using these and I don't want to use an extra waterstone holder, I can just secure these anywhere on a workstation, a workbench, to other velcro, and also to keep them from moving around in the base itself. So this is the actual base or holder that comes with the 1000 grit Shapton Pro, and I have the velcro to put it on there and keep it secured to it so it's not moving around. So I found out velcro a long time ago works really well with waterstones and securing them while I'm using them. So when I work with waterstones, instead of using just regular water to spray on the waterstone and to sharpen with, what I like to do is put water in my water bottle, and then what I'll do is I'll put a couple pumps of a hand soap or detergent in there, and I'll just put a couple pumps inside while it's already full, and then I'll secure it, and you can give it a little shake to kind of agitate it, and then you could spray it on your waterstone. What I find that this does is it helps to keep the stone from clogging up, and also if you're using a very porous or soft waterstone that is considered a soaker stone, it will help keep the top of the waterstone wetter longer, which obviously you want your stone to stay wet, so it helps in that regard as well. Also, it keeps it from building up and clogging up your Waterstone. So, and when you do clean up your Waterstone, it does help, obviously. So when I'm using water with my soap solution on my Waterstones, I also like to use a slurry stone in addition to my sharpening process. Over the years, I've broken my stones accidentally, and I found out using these as slurry stones works out really well. This happens to be a 2000 grit Shapton Pro that I broke years back, and I'm actually have a 1000 grit Shapton Pro here. So if I wanted to sharpen on this, I would have no problem spraying it, getting it wet first with my soapy water solution, taking the edge of this stone and creating a slurry all along the whole area while I'll be doing my sharpening. Traditionally, you want to match up your Waterstone slurry to either the same identical stone. So if this was 1000 on top of 1000 grit Waterstone, that would be fine. In this case, I have a finer Waterstone that I'm using as a slurry stone, and that's fine too, because it's not going to affect the cutability of the stone. It will only enhance it. So now I have a really thick slurry. And I find that this really helps with the cutting action of the Waterstone when I'm sharpening. However, I would not want to take a 500 slurry stone and use it on 1000 because this is too coarse. But you can always match it up at 1000 or greater, like this Tokonako stone that I broke. This is a 6000. I could use this on as a slurry stone too. So as we go up in grit ranges from stones, we want to at least be identical to the stone we're sharpening on, or finer with the slurry stone that we're using. So it really helps with the cutability. It also helps with how your stone stays flat longer, and really helps keep the moisture content on the surface of the stone as well. So it does a lot of things. So if you had a soaking stone, this is going to help maintain the moisture and water solution on top of your sharpening. So these are another reason why I like using slurry stones along with my Waterstones in my sharpening regimen. So in regards to the hardness rating I've given each of these stones, I would recommend the stones that I've rated 7 or lower to be used mainly as edge trailing strokes. And that if you are going to do edge leading strokes into the cutting edge while sharpening or touching up your edges, especially for knives, that you want to make sure you have plenty of good slurry or water on your stone at all times, because a stone that's rated at a 6, this kitayama is rated as a 6 that I give it. If I do an edge leading stroke and I get too steep with my angle, I'll cut into the stone and mess up my edge, and I'll also mess up the stone. So just be wary if you're going to do any type of polishing and you're going back and forth. Edge trailing strokes are great. However, if you do edge leading strokes pushing forward, that you better have enough slurry and or water on this stone and that it's properly soaked. Otherwise, you run the risk of damaging your stone by cutting into the stone because it's a little soft, and also cutting up and messing up your cutting edge of your knife that you're sharpening. The stones that I give a grit rating of, or a hardness rating of 7, you still have to be wary of your push strokes. However, you're less likely to dig into the stone. Now your stones like your Shapton Pro and your Shapton glass stones, where have a hardness rating of 8 and 9 or 7 and 8, 7 and above, you don't have to worry about digging into your stone whether you're going forward or backward with your push strokes or edge trailing strokes with your knives. So this is another reason why I gave these a hardness rating, so people who are looking for good Waterstones, they'll know what they're capable of doing or to be wary of certain applications. So I hope you guys found this review beneficial. For more information, check out my description box below.